Toronto's light favorites, 98.1 CHFI, and relax with us online at chfi.com.
From the heart of the city, this is the soundtrack to the eve of February. Good evening, I'm Don Jackson. As is said in the Pagan Book of Days by Nigel Pennick, published by Destiny Books in Rochester, Vermont, February Eve, a day sacred to the Valkyries, and thereby hangs a tale of winter. Lovers and Other Strangers from 98.1 CHFI. Lovers and Other Strangers, Sophie B. Hawkins, As I Lay Me Down, and Josh Groban, and a February song. Most of the material this hour from a very old, ancient, mystical edition of the Britannica. They begin by comparing two different mythologies. First, the mythology of the Greeks. Their stories of gods reveal an intelligent people who lived a fairly easy life. But the people of Northern Europe, the Norsemen, had a mythology quite different from that of the Greeks. The Norsemen lived in a land of long, cold winters. The men were fierce and warlike, always hunting and fighting and sailing on the stormy ocean. Their myths are full of darkness and violence. The Norse gods never really conquered their enemies, the frost giants, as the Greek gods conquered the Titans. In Norse mythology, there was only a universe of mist in the beginning. Out of the mist and the clouds came the body of the huge frost giant, Ymir. In the same way, somewhat later, Odin, king of the gods, came out of the mist. He killed Ymir and made the earth and sky out of Ymir's body. A portion of the earth made from Ymir's eyebrows was called Midgard. Midgard was destined to be the place where man would live. The whole universe, earth and heaven, was supported by the ash tree. The gods lived in a heavenly city called Asgard, reached by the bridge of the rainbow. More of these ancient legends and myths shortly with Lovers and Other Strangers from 98.1 CHFI. Lovers and Other Strangers, the Beatles with Norwegian Wood. I mused the other night about the fragrance of wood from a land so rich in culture and mythology. And we also heard Colin James, Into the Mystic. It's February Eve, a day sacred to the Valkyries. Who they were supposed to be in this segment. Odin's wife, Frigga, was queen of the gods. They were parents of all the other gods. You might remember yesterday's blog in which I spoke of sibling rivalry. Consider for a moment being the parents of all powerful gods. What a nightmare that would be to negotiate their quarrels. This writer in this very old mystical edition of the Britannica went on to say, their most important children were Thor, god of war, maker of thunder and lightning; Frey, god of rain, sunlight, and the growing crops; Freya, with beautiful golden hair; Balder the good; Heimdall, the watchman of the gods; and Tyr, god of the sword. The Valkyries were divine maidens who decided the outcome of earthly battles. All the gods lived in Asgard and always had to defend their city from the attack of the frost giants. Perhaps the frost giants represented the storms and snow and ice of the cruel northern winter. The old Norsemen naturally feared the long, cold winter. The winter seemed to kill everything, and the Norsemen were afraid that one year winter might come and never go away. Consequently, there are some very interesting stories of the frost giants in Norse mythology. Lovers and Other Strangers from 98.1 CHFI. Lovers and Other Strangers, Gordon Lightfoot with a song for a winter's night. My companion writing is about Thor. You can log on right now to the CHFI website, follow the links on the homepage to my daily weblog at CHFI.com. And Lovers and Other Strangers returns. I'm Don Jackson.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy. This is Lovers and Other Strangers on 98.1 CHFI. Toronto's light favorites, 98.1 CHFI. And relax with us online at CHFI.com.
Welcome back to Lovers and Other Strangers, now a blog as well at CHFI.com. I'm Don Jackson. On this, the eve of February and the eve of a huge snowstorm, I thought it appropriate to feature a little winter mythology. One of the frost giants, Loki, was an evil and dishonest giant. He forced his way into Asgard and lived among the gods. He spent all his time doing mischief and trying to hurt the gods. Loki had 3 dreadful children: Death, the Midgard serpent, which encircled the earth, and the giant wolf, Fenrir. Death took all men, and the gods feared that someday Death would take them too. Fenrir grew so big and dangerous that the gods had to tie him up. Do you remember the dwarves in Middle-earth in The Lord of the Rings? The dwarves were an important part of the Norse mythology as well. Again, I quote, "The dwarves of the underworld, blacksmiths of the gods, fashioned a magic chain. This chain was made of the footsteps of a cat, the breath of fish, the roots of stones, and other strange things. It looked a single thread of a spider's web, but it was strong enough to hold the wolf Fenrir." Lovers and Other Strangers from 98.1 CHFI. Lovers and Other Strangers, Remy Shand and Rocksteady and Simon and Garfunkel, and I Am a Rock. More of the Norse mythology on this, the eve of February, supposedly sacred to the Valkyries in the old texts, who were divine maidens who decided the outcome of earthly battles. And speaking of which, Loki killed Balder, the god of goodness and kindness, by shooting him with an arrow of mistletoe. Balder's mother, the queen of the gods, had made everything in the world promise not to hurt her son. But she forgot to ask the mistletoe. Loki knew of this and made an arrow of the one thing that could hurt Balder. The gods punished Loki by chaining him in a cave. Lovers and Other Strangers from 98.1 CHFI. Lovers and Other Strangers, Celine Dion in Some Small Way, and Rod Stewart's Broken Arrow. The mythology is dark. as dark as the wintertime. According to Norse mythology, the Norse gods had reason to be afraid. The Norsemen believed that a time would come when the giants and their monstrous children would force their way into Asgard, kill the gods, and destroy the whole world. But the giants would also destroy themselves in the conflict. The Norsemen called the final destruction the Twilight of the Gods. In the final struggle between the gods and the giant Fenrir, Fenrir breaks the chain that holds him and kills Odin. But one of Odin's sons kills the wolf. Thor fights the Midgard serpent, and both kill each other. Loki comes out of the cave and joins the giants. All the gods and giants are destroyed. The earth is swallowed up in fire and nearly destroyed. And finally, when the fire stops burning, only 2 human beings are left. According to Norsemen, these 2 will eventually repopulate the world. Balder the Good will return from the dead and rule the earth and heaven. All human beings will then be everlastingly happy. But the old gods and their enemies will exist no more. As convoluted as the TV series Lost in a lot of ways. Lovers and Other Strangers from 98.1 CHFI. Stay tuned. Lovers and Other Strangers returns. I'm Don Jackson.
Passion set to words and music. Lovers and Other Strangers on 98.1 CHFI. Toronto's light favorites, 98.1 CHFI, and relax with us online at CHFI.com.
We're in the heart of Toronto, around the world on the internet, and now a blog as well at CHFI.com. My companion writing is called Thor on this, the eve of February. Log on right now to the CHFI website. Follow the links on the homepage to my companion writing for tonight's show at CHFI.com. Good evening once again. I'm Don Jackson. There is an old weather adage for February. When February give much snow, a fine summer dost foreshow. John Boyle O'Reilly wrote, "The red rose whispers of passion, and the white rose breathes of love. The red rose is a falcon, and the white rose is a dove." This hour, romantic winter white on the eve of a snowstorm. With Lovers and Other Strangers from 98.1 CHFI. Lovers and Other Strangers, Seals, Kiss from a Rose, and the Moody Blues, and Nights in White Satin. Thomas Hood said, I remember the roses red and white, those flowers made of light. Leo Tolstoy in Anna Karenina said, a table gleaming with the light of candles, the whiteness of napery, the silver of the samovar, and the tea service of transparent porcelain. And Robert Burns wrote, but pleasures are like poppies spread. You seize the flower, its bloom is shed. Or like the snow falls in the river, a moment white, then melts forever. this hour, a few moments in white with Lovers and Other Strangers from 98.1 CHFI. Lovers and Other Strangers, Amy Sky, and I Will Take Care of You, and Procol Harum with a whiter shade of pale. From Sources of Japanese Tradition, edited by William Theodore Debari in 1960, comes this by Matsuo Basho, who wrote, "The white chrysanthemum, even when lifted to the eye, remains immaculate." Tennyson knew how immaculate a color white is when he wrote, "Clothed in white samite, mystic, wonderful." White has always signified purity. Maybe that's why doctors wear white lab coats. Think of a beautiful bride walking to meet her husband at the front of the church, dressed in white satin and lace. Tradition dictates that she wear white and carry something blue on her person. The blue, though, is most often hidden from sight, like a blue garter. And even some grooms will wear a white tuxedo. According to the book Why in the World, All You Ever Wanted to Know About the World Around You But May Never Have Thought to Ask, published in 1994 by the Reader's Digest in Australia, in ancient Greece, white was a symbol of joy. Greeks always wore white on feast days and carried garlands of white flowers. Before wedding ceremonies, they painted their bodies white. Unquote. We don't go quite as far today, but we're still more than willing to celebrate our vows dressed in white. Lovers and Other Strangers from 98.1 CHFI. Lovers and Other Strangers, Mark Cohn, waiting for a true companion in white. Log on right now to the CHFI website. Follow the links on the homepage to my daily weblog at CHFI.com. And Lovers and Other Strangers returns. I'm Don Jackson.
Romance set to words and music. Lovers and Other Strangers on 98.1 CHFI. Toronto's light favorites, 98.1 CHFI, and relax with us online at CHFI.com.
And welcome back to Lovers and Other Strangers, now a blog as well at CHFI.com. I'm Don Jackson. Adrian Levy from Rainbows, Roses, and Butterflies wrote, "Everything is equal in the snow. All trees, all lawns, all rooftops, all streets, all cars, everything is white. White as far as you can see. Covered by snow, the neglected lawns look the same. The snow hides the shiny newness of a just-bought car as effectively as it does the rust and dents of a 10-year-old one. Everything looks clean and fresh and unmarred by time or use." Unquote. We're on the eve of a February snowstorm. What a way to usher in another month. February snows are rich in superstition. They can be extremely brutal as well. For a while, before traffic and pedestrians, it will be a world in white. Eleanor Hoyt Wiley wrote, "We shall walk in velvet shoes wherever we go. Silence will fall like dews on white silence below." Lovers and Other Strangers from 98.1 CHFI. Lovers and Other Strangers, Celine Dion, and a song based on a poem about the snow, and Miles to Go Before I Sleep, and Dido's White Flag. Tennyson wrote, "There's fallen a splendid tear from the passion flower at the gate. She is coming, my dove, my dear. She is coming, my life, my fate. The red rose cries, she is near, she is near. And the white rose weeps, she is late. The larkspur listens, I hear, I hear. And the lily whispers, I wait." Lovers and Other Strangers from 98.1 CHFI. Lovers and Other Strangers, that's Fergie, and Big Girls Don't Cry. A Roman legend tells how the red rose got its color. You might think it an impossibility that the ancient gods were capable of blushing. But when Jupiter stumbled upon Venus bathing, the white rose mirrored the reflection of her blush and has stayed that way ever since. Truman Capote wrote, "A restfulness arises from contemplating a quiet white rose until the rose expands into the whiteness of sleep." White is often associated with age. A final thought from Joseph Campbell, who wrote, "As a white candle in a holy place, so is the beauty of an aged face." Lovers and Other Strangers from 98.1 CHFI. Good night, sweet dreams. Careful with that snowstorm tomorrow. I'm Don Jackson.
Passion set to words and music. Lovers and Other Strangers on 98.